From America's first offshore wind farm to a global partnership that's cleaning up the Rio Grande River, we'll meet a global giant that's opening up new sources of clean energy for the planet, discover new technology that's revolutionizing water treatment in the oil industry, and a new digital superhighway that may soon connect virtually everyone worldwide. It's all coming up on Earth.
I'm John Holden. Welcome to Earth. We're starting off here in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada. Here, the oil and gas industry is the bedrock of energy production in North America, as long as there's plenty of clean water to recover that oil. But today, new technology is revolutionizing water treatment so that we're not only able to, well, reuse that water, but also recover valuable minerals at the same time. Let's take a look.
The beauty of the Canadian wilderness is not only what lies above, but also below in the massive energy field of its oil and gas reserves, such as the heavy oil production in the Canadian oil sands.
In our Canadian oil sands, we have the third largest proven energy reserve on the planet. So as of 2016, we have 165 billion barrels of oil. But we think this proven reserve is going to be a large part of the energy solution in the future. Of course, the challenge is, as always, is not only to produce it economically, but produce it in a way that is aligned with Canadian values, which is preservation of wild spaces. We take that very seriously as Canadians.
But whether the industry is oil, paper, or food production, a huge amount of water and steam is needed for production. Today, one of the largest sources of energy loss globally is in the cooling of water for treatment and reuse in power and steam generation for production.
Well, in Alberta here, we produce about 2.5 million barrels of oil a day out of the oil sands. And for every barrel at this point, heating water into steam is an intricate part of the extraction process. Any technology that can allow us to use less water and less energy input hits that sweet spot of not only decreasing our environmental footprint, but also decreasing the cost structure for these companies.
And it's not just the reuse of water that is needed to recover these important resources. Valuable minerals are also at stake, like lithium, the main element in batteries for today's electric-powered vehicles. The global demand for lithium is expected to triple over the next decade.
Well, lithium is at the heart of the transition from fossil fuel to electric-powered vehicles. And our access to lithium is constrained by conventional technologies and resources. Now, brine return from hydrocarbon production offers a vast resource for lithium. However, it has been untapped because of technology constraints.
The answer may lie in new filtration technology that is revolutionizing water and wastewater treatment, and also aiding in the recovery of precious minerals like lithium at the same time.
Well, it's exceedingly exciting because the water traditionally has been considered a liability and a waste, something that had to be dealt with at a cost. Now it's actually a resource. Similar to oil, some have likened it to the new gold or the new liquid gold replacing oil, is that these minerals that exist underground, particularly things like lithium and vanadium, could be used to power the new energy for North America, for the world.
Here at its laboratory and research facility in Calgary, Alberta, PurLucid Treatment Solutions is designing and fabricating systems to deploy in several major markets across the United States. Projects that they say will make the U.S. a major producer of lithium, while making unconventional oil production much less water intensive.
What we're able to do is not only treat that water, turning it from a large liability into a much smaller one by treating that water at low cost, low energy intensity, but we can also recover these minerals from that water, making it a resource. This is incredibly attractive and exciting.
And the name of its revolutionary new technology? Nanoflotation, a low-energy water treatment for steam and heavy oil recovery that allows high-temperature water treatment at 10 to 30 times the efficiency of today's ultrafiltration systems.
This technology is incredibly revolutionary to the water treatment market because it advanced the efficiency of ultrafiltration systems, for example, and flotation systems, but ultrafiltration systems particularly, 30-fold in one technology development. That sort of thing doesn't happen regularly in technology development. They're incremental. You get 20% improvements, not 30-fold improvements, is what we now have. This is remarkable because it really unlocks an ability to efficiently handle and treat water and go after those minerals like lithium.
So we have a very formal aspiration for our sector, and that is to try to find ways to produce value out of waste. So any technology that can do that, that's the sweet spot. That's really the holy grail of what we're after.
It's no wonder this new technology was a 2017 finalist for the most disruptive technology in the world.
It's technology that can help both reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help Alberta transition to a lower carbon future, paving the way for cleaner, more sustainable energy sources. Our next stop, California, where superhighways abound for both cars and high-speed internet. But far above us, another superhighway is about to take on traffic, a digital superhighway that may someday connect virtually everyone on Earth. Let's take a look.
Today, our world is heavily connected, thanks to the use of undersea cables, ground-based fiber, and of course, satellites. But this technology doesn't connect everyone. There's still a huge void that needs to be filled.
If you look at the world today, there's only 2 levels of communications. We at Airborne Wireless believe there's a great untapped potential by utilizing that middle space to create a whole new layer of global connectivity.
Now, the solution to filling this void in Earth's connectivity lies in finding the right technology that offers low cost and high-speed connectivity uninterrupted virtually anywhere on Earth, including remote places like this.
Researchers here at the R&D facilities in Simi Valley, California, think they may have found the answer.
We're creating a flying mesh network digital superhighway.
What that means is that we have ground stations, or even they could be mounted onto a ship or an oil derrick or a locomotive. And that serves the signal up to the aircraft. There's a receiving antenna as well as a transmitting antenna.
As we expand the system, there's quite a bit of uses for such a network. And whether that's filling the connectivity void for rural area coverage, whether it's providing services to oil platforms, cruise ships, or even disaster relief emergency services.
And their solution? A high-speed wireless broadband airborne network that actually links in a mesh net of commercial aircraft while they're airborne with the surface level stations, creating a digital superhighway in the sky.
What we're doing is creating almost like a mesh net across the skies by using aircraft that allows for you to communicate on the X, Y, and Z levels. So you're going forward, backward, left, right, up, and down. So if you run into a bad spot of weather where you can't communicate, we do an end around. We push the signal around through connected aircraft, and you still have communications.
In Roswell, New Mexico at the end of May of 2017, we flew 2 767s in a circular pattern with a ground earth station or a mast antenna. We're doing Skype, we're doing data transfer, and it worked.
What it's going to lead to is now adapting that into a commercial product that we can install on multiple aircraft.
Airborne Wireless Network says the success of their new network in the sky will rely on direct connection between antennas on the ground and planes in the air, as well as between the planes themselves, to create an ever-moving and self-healing communication link accessible to everyone. In other words, a virtual airborne World Wide Web.
We call it the Infinitus Superhighway, Infinitus being unlimited. And we call it the Superhighway because there's no single point of failure.
There's a great untapped potential by utilizing that middle space to create a whole new layer of global connectivity. And we plan on doing that by our patent. Our patent allows us to connect aircraft in the sky to form a wireless mesh network
Even the traditional wireless technology of satellites orbiting our Earth can be disabled or knocked out of orbit by space junk, whereas this new airborne network operates in a safe and controlled environment.
Space junk in the sky. Every year it's becoming a larger and larger problem. And it's going to get to a point where there's so much junk in the sky that it's dangerous for the manned vehicles especially that have to be up there.
And in fact, in today's Wall Street Journal, there was an article related to how our system can help mitigate that and provide service that isn't subject to that kind of danger.
An airborne digital highway may very well be a logical solution to fill this world's connectivity void. So if you're tired how crowded our Earth superhighways have become, you can take comfort in knowing there's a superhighway up above with a lot more room for cruising.
Say hello to the KidTroll app locker for parents. Disable apps on your child's mobile device. You can schedule the days and times they can or cannot use their apps and internet. Or instantly disable the apps with the on-demand feature. It works on all generations of Apple products. Easily create schedules. Or use the on-demand feature to choose a device and disable it instantly. Help your child sleep, study, and succeed. And gain some KidTroll over that data bill. Watch the apps as they disappear. Try KidTroll for free today by downloading it from the Apple App Store.
For years now, our world has rallied behind the need for clean energy. Many see the need for cleaner technology to power our Earth's future, including the governor of Rhode Island.
We can't move fast enough, in my opinion, to renewable sources of energy. We have to meet the challenges of climate change, and one way to do that is to have affordable, clean, reliable, sustainable energy for the people of Rhode Island.
But not everyone can imagine what's possible for our energy future to actually look like. Ecomagination is doing just that.
When we launched Ecomagination 12 years ago, GE wanted to be part of the solution and lead a clean energy transition that would support our customers and the world. It was a bold vision with challenging commitments, and since we've launched, GE has invested $20 billion in Ecomagination solutions. That's resulted in $270 billion of revenue. Our scientists are also using new materials like silicon carbide to create a new 99% efficient solar inverter, and we're developing highly efficient CO2-powered turbines that can sit on a table but power 10,000 homes. One energy source that's made a big impact is wind, including offshore wind, and GE has provided the turbines for the first offshore wind project in the United States.
There's an enormous potential in technologies such as offshore wind. Rhode Island's governor is one of many who sees this.
I think there's a lot of growth to the renewable industry, particularly the offshore wind industry. You know, climate change is real, it's scary, and if there's any silver lining at all, if we are urgent to meet the challenge of climate change, we can create a lot of jobs for people. And so that's what I'm on a mission to do.
GE technology already powers 1/3 of our world's electricity, and harnessing the wind is one of its bedrocks for renewable energy.
We have delivered 35,000 wind turbines in 35 countries to date. That is a significant impact by avoiding 600 million tons of carbon dioxide. GE has launched a digital wind farm, a new solution to help our customers improve clean energy output for their wind farm up to 20% by combining hardware and software. These thousands of wind turbines and digital solutions are just an example of the investments GE is making in clean energy innovation.
Until now, all the wind power generated in the U.S. has been from wind turbines located on land. But now ocean winds are supplying that clean energy as America's first offshore wind farm spins to life. Block Island is about 13 miles south of Rhode Island. 3 miles from its coastline, 5 massive wind turbines now rise above the Atlantic Ocean, supplying 30 megawatts of electricity to not only the island community, but also to the Rhode Island grid.
Partnerships help us accelerate progress and make a greater impact. We work closely with Deepwater Wind on the first U.S. offshore wind project, which now provides the community, state, and New England with a new clean energy solution. The success of Block Island Wind Farm really opens up the potential and possibility for offshore wind projects. There is an incredible untapped potential for offshore wind in the United States and around the world.
Built by a partnership of GE and Deepwater Wind, a developer of offshore wind projects, the Block Island Wind Farm is made up of 5 GE turbines that are twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty.
An offshore wind farm involves really big stuff. All of the components are really large. The blades are very, very long. The foundations, the steel foundations that go into the water are made of steel, 1,500 tons of steel in each one of the 5 foundations. So moving that equipment around is a real challenge. One of the advantages of offshore wind is that we don't really have size constraints. We can build turbines really as large as the technology allows us to go. The further offshore you get, the stronger and steadier the wind is. So when you're in the middle of an ocean environment, you're in the middle of a really, really strong wind resource, which allows those really big turbines to produce a lot of power.
And with a total output of 30 megawatts from this wind farm, that's enough clean energy to power every home, every business, like the National Hotel, everything on this island with enough electricity to give back to the grid.
Clean energy is a journey around the world, and we all need to work towards it. And seeing Block Island today is just such an amazing proof point of the work we do at Ecomagination and the impact that we can make with great partners and customers.
So it's a perfect marriage of demand for energy on the coastline and a huge power source just off the coast.
Our work in Ecomagination is just beginning. We're continually investing in clean technology solutions, and we want to lead the way to a clean energy future.
You know, this cool ocean wind sure feels nice, but who would have guessed what an impact this could have on our planet Earth? You could say the wind's the limit, at least when it comes to clean energy. Water. It's our Earth's most precious and most threatened resource. The health of our world water supply is more critical now than ever before, and nowhere is the crisis more evident than right here along the Rio Grande River and the border of Mexico. But a unique global partnership is helping save our fresh water, as you're about to see. Life depends on fresh water, from the food we eat to the nature that surrounds us to the energy we use. Yet despite the huge role that water plays for mankind and nature, it's a finite resource that is threatened. Less than 1% of our world's water is fresh and accessible.
It's a crisis worldwide. You know, it's hard to overemphasize the importance of freshwater ecosystems. 10% of the animals on Earth need freshwater ecosystems for their survival, so it's incredibly important to both wildlife and humans. Or what is needed to combat this problem, I feel, are unique collaborative partnerships.
Since 2007, World Wildlife Fund has partnered with the Coca-Cola Company to work together to help conserve the world's freshwater resources.
Well, as the largest beverage company in the world, with almost 2 billion servings every day in over 200 countries, water is really at the heart of the Coca-Cola Company. So we're intently focused on protecting and restoring water resources. And it's not just for our business, it's also for the communities that share this resource with us. And those are the communities that we serve.
The other great advantage of such a global partnership is it's long-term. Often from a conservation perspective, we have projects that are 3 years long. And you just can't battle some of the conservation issues, such as the one we have here in the Rio Grande, in 3 years. We've been working with the Coca-Cola Company for over a decade along the Rio Grande, and it's such long-term partnerships that are needed.
So John, the obvious question is, why the Rio Grande?
Well, the Rio Grande is one of the world's iconic rivers. It's very majestic, and it provides drinking water to over 10 million people in the US and in Mexico. But it also faces a lot of challenges, from water stress to climate change to just increasing water demand. So there's a lot of work to do to restore this river.
For the Rio Grande, Rio Bravo, water is everything. Water scarcity is the norm here. It is a desert. It's important for a variety of reasons. One, the international border is right in the middle of it. And we have found throughout the decade that we've been working here that the river, and the border in particular, with the river there as the border, actually has brought people together. It's not a dividing point. It actually brought people together in collaboration of the management of a very important resource. And so that I think is really critical.
So there's good reason they call this the Big River or the Rio Grande, but it's really hard to imagine the immensity and popularity and importance of this river unless you get, well, a bird's eye view, or in this case, a view from a helicopter.
This project we're doing here in the Rio Grande is a great example of our goal to return to nature and communities every drop of water that we use in our beverages and their production. And we do that through community water projects and watershed restoration projects. We have replenished over 200 billion liters of water per year across the globe by doing these projects.
So the Rio Grande is a prime example of what a partnership like this can do to help ensure safe, fresh water for our environment. In this case, restoring a grand river after decades of decline.
Well, there's so much natural beauty to this river and this watershed. It's incredible to see the changes that our project has already made around restoring this river back to its natural channel.
And what we're seeing now, actually, the river is beginning to look like a real river again. The banks are eroding backwards, the river's becoming wider and shallower instead of this narrow and deep sluice that we had before. It is really exciting to see, and all that bodes very well not only for the communities that live along the river, but for the wildlife species that depend on it.
Preserving the flow of the Rio Grande is just one challenge of our Earth's ever-changing climate. But you know, global partnerships are meeting that challenge and making a difference in making our water cleaner and safer worldwide. Our next stop, Houston, Texas. This is our nation's energy capital, where industry leaders are building and shaping our Earth's future. But right now here in Houston, it's all about rebuilding homes. We've all seen the devastation from the flooding of Hurricane Harvey, and right now companies are stepping forward to rebuild lives. Let's take a look.
Economically, it was this country's most destructive natural disaster to date. Hurricane Harvey not only destroyed lives, it destroyed communities.
We had the same rain in a year in 4 days, over 50 inches of rain. And in KBR itself, we had over 300 families that were disaffected, and many of them flooded out completely. Many have lost their homes, lost their worldly possessions, things that are really important to them.
Today, companies like KBR are stepping in to not only help their employees rebuild their lives, but also the entire community.
We are a family at KBR. We've started a relief fund. KBR itself contributed $500,000 to that immediately. But what has really been uplifting is the response from the wider KBR family, who have really stepped up and contributed personal funds to that fund, and that's starting to have a positive impact on the families directly.
But then KBR already has a proven track record in caring and innovation and rebuilding and completing projects in a sustainable way for companies like Chevron, especially in the clean energy field.
Our vision for clean energy is LNG and natural gas in pipeline form, shipped all over the world, put into combustion engines, conventional vehicles, they'll burn well, they'll burn cleanly.
Sustainability is absolutely central to what we do. We believe that really for a long-term sustainable future to really the US, but also to the planet going forward, there has to be alternatives to current fuel choices, and we believe that that fuel choice is gas going forward. And KBR has positioned it and been a pioneer in the LNG industry and the gas industry.
As the world seeks alternatives, gas is a natural choice for abundant, clean energy, and KBR is at the forefront of this industry. But providing this clean energy is complex. It means developing LNG facilities for its customers in some of the world's most demanding and environmentally sensitive locations.
Well, the interesting thing is that natural gas is one of the most abundant molecules on Earth, but ironically it seems to be in difficult places. It's in deserts, it's under the sea, it's in jungles, it's in the Arctic, and then occasionally in places like West Texas.
And the latest endeavor to provide us clean energy? The Chevron-operated Gorgon project, a world-scale LNG project on Barrow Island, about 37 miles off the coast of Australia, and one of the most environmentally challenging locations ever encountered.
Gorgon is a very unique project. It's one of the largest LNG projects ever built in the world. In a Class A environmental reserve, it's got some unique features in terms of wildlife that actually exists there, which doesn't exist anywhere in the world.
This Chevron-operated LNG project established the world's largest non-government quarantine management system to protect the island's unique environment. KBR played a key role in the execution of this project.
We had to take special measures in terms of planning the execution as well as doing the construction of the plant as well. To get there, you have to fly in to get across to that site.
Protecting the environment and our wildlife while still bringing clean gas to an ever-energy hungry world. That's a recipe for sustainable success in rebuilding our world, as well as rebuilding our communities. I'm John Holden. Thanks for watching.